Okay, here we go. Today we have Edie Boyd, the founder of the 50 Boys, who's depicted on the BMF TV series as Pat, played by Wood Harris. Welcome to VladTV.
Thank you for having me here.
Well, it's your first time here. I want to start in the very beginning. So you were born in Southwest Detroit.
Yes, I was. I was born in Southwest Detroit.
Okay. And your dad was actually a professional boxer.
Yes, he was. Edgar Dallas Boyd. My first cousin, Ronnie Harris, was a professional boxer that won a medal in the Olympics.
Okay, and you're actually named after your dad.
Yes.
Okay. And although your dad was a boxer, he was also mixed up in a few other things as well.
Oh, yeah. You know, every man in my family that held the last name Boyd, you know, besides my grandfather, he was in the streets as far as numbers, but every man in the family was in the streets, okay? Simple as that.
Okay, and the way your dad passed was actually a very tragic event. Can you talk about that?
Oh, yes. Okay, they claim he was playing Russian roulette, okay? But the story, you know, that I got, you know, let me say that I was 3 years old when this happened, okay? But the story that I was told and that was out there, that his best friend set him up and had him killed or whatever. But it was in the papers and all that he was playing Russian roulette. That's how it went down. You know, as far as how he died, he was playing Russian roulette.
Okay, was your uncle in the same game as well?
Okay, my uncle, my brother, my uncle. You saying my father's brother?
I think, well, your uncle Eric, I guess.
Yes, Eric Boyd. Well. Oh yeah, definitely. He was in the same game, and he was found dead on Dexter and oh man, I want to say in the building in Joy Road, shot to death. And yeah, he was a street name. He was a street person as well, and he was in the boxing game as well as the street game, also.
Okay, so after your dad died, is that when your mom said we're going to move you out of Detroit and go to Brooklyn?
Yes, it's a crazy story about that. We was at my father's funeral, and I can remember, you know, standing around his casket, because back then, you know, I don't know if they do it now. I don't think so. They, you know, you stay there to the funeral till they, you know, put you in the ground. And once the casket was going down and all that, my auntie jumped in the hole on top of the casket. And I'm 3 years old, and I'm looking at this, and she hollering, you know, and this is my father's sister, you know, please don't leave me like this. Please don't leave me with what's going on and all that. And it just was a situation that devastated me and all that, because I was 3 years old once again. So, you know, my mother, being the type of woman that she was, she wanted a different start, and you know, she wanted something different for me and my sister. So we had people in New York. You know, her people was in Long Island actually, and we moved there, but we moved to Brooklyn. Oh, and for my mother wanted a different start for us, and that's what she did. She just moved us there. You know, hoping for a better, you know, life for me and my sister.
Okay, so now you're growing up in Brooklyn, but at what point you actually started getting mixed up in the streets?
Around 10 years old. But before that, you know, like at, you know, 7, 8, 9, whatever, there was a dude in my area that where I lived that I admired, and I kept, you know, I just kept going up and down the street, you know, hollering at him, saying hello, whatever. and that's when I started in this. Far as that was my introduction to the streets. It was my introduction to taking care of pigeons on the roof. Actually,
Okay, this guy was Caesar.
exactly.
Okay, and this guy was a big time dealer in Brooklyn.
Yes, he was.
Okay, and he actually took you under his wing.
Yeah, he did. He was reluctant to do that at first, but he seen that it was, either do this or I'm just gonna be, a thorn on your side.
Right, and I mean, initially you were just a lookout.
Exactly. Yeah, I was on my, at first I started off, like I said, taking care of pigeon coops for Caesar on the roof. So I was started off on the roof as a lookout. Then, I went from, riding my bike up and down the street as a lookout. And that's how I began with him. But I was so nosy, and I was the type of guy. I asked too many questions, I think, and Caesar kind of took me under his wing. He always gave me money to take home to make sure we ate and was clothes. But don't get me wrong. My mother was a single woman that took very good care of us. I wore the best clothes, and we ate well and all that. It was just that being from the heritage that I was from, the street was just in me. I bleeded the streets. Even though I was, I ate well every day. It wasn't like we was on welfare and we needed to be taken care of. It was just that was in my blood. The streets was in my blood.
Okay, and back then it was heroin?
No, actually, no. Caesar, he dabbled in both heroin and cocaine. Okay, and actually, I think he did some weed as well. But all three, all three were in his. Well, I want to say what he did. Okay, he dabbled in everything in the streets, from prostitution, to gambling, to loan sharking, to drugs.
Okay, so you went from being a lookout at 8, 9 years old, and then did you start selling hand to hand? And
No, I never sold. There? Okay, no. Around 10 years old, he promoted me to. He had this building that had his counting rooms, his hookup rooms, and all that. So I graduated at, I don't know how you want to put it, from going to that, I started seeing them M's, man, when I was like 10 years old. Okay, we talking about walking through buildings and seeing, the situation, the naked women, whatever, in the counting rooms, in the hookup rooms. I started seeing that when I was 10 years old. Okay, I saw my first, like I said, I saw my first M when I had to be about 9, 10 years old. Okay, he had multiple counting rooms. He had multiple, hookup rooms. He was he was a person that I looked up. I looked up as my mentor. He always like. When he saw me, I always hung out when he came to the hood or whatever. He, actually, I sat down with his family and ate on Sundays. He was a Puerto Rican person, and I would like to say his name, but his family is still out there, and this is we talking about some cartel type of motherfuckers, okay, all right, and Caesar, I ate with their family, okay. So he really, he took me under his wing as like a family member.
Got it. Okay, so At one point, your mom started noticing what you were doing, and she had a problem with it.
Well, she noticed when she started getting the letters from home that I tried to, I was getting them. At one point, I was trying to stop them, but it was got to the point that they were sending letters. I was stopping them and getting the mail, but she found out, because I think I had a teacher. I went to PS 139 in Brooklyn, and this teacher, I don't know if she called my mother and asked her was she getting the letters or whatever, that because I wasn't no dumb student, I always was smart, okay, and was into the books as well. So I was an educated street motherfucker, okay. So I was into the books as well, okay. So but the teacher was wondering why my mother wasn't corresponding with her back on all the letters that she was sending, that I was not attending school. I started not to attend school at one point.
Okay. And then your mom decided to actually move you back to Detroit.
No, not right away, because I was reluctant to go, for one. We stayed there because my mother was dating this guy named Woody. I could say his name because it's cool to say his name. My mother was dating this guy named Woody, and he had a franchise of record stores back then, and this is where you sold the albums, the incense, and anything pertaining to something like that, dashikis, and all African antiquities. Okay, so she was dating this guy, and she was working in the stores, and she was like a manager of all the stores. So we at first, she didn't move us back right away, but it was in her mind, and she was suggesting. She called back home and was talking to her brother to that she was having problems with me. And first it started off him calling me and talking to me, and then it went to the point that yes, they did come down and move us back, but it was a lot of things going on between that and that time.
Okay, so you moved back to Detroit. You graduate high school in 1981.
Yes.
And then your mom decides to send you away to become an air traffic controller. and out of all the places she decides to send you, she sends you to Miami, Florida.
Yes.
Home of the cocaine cowboys.
Miami Beach, yes. To be air traffic controller. And I was down with that because I actually, on some real shit, Vlad, I wanted to do this, okay? So I went down there in the intentions to be down with this. So, it was a situation that they had dorms, and we went to school and all that. And then we had the weekends to party and all that. So we was, I was going to the clubs in Miami Beach with the people that I went to school with, and my mind, just kind of like went in the wrong direction once again, okay? Because, I was seeing all this, because of course this was the cocaine era, okay? And that was what's happening at that time. And then, people was like, oh, you from Detroit? Damn, we need to, hit it, let's talk, let me buy you a drink or whatever, So, and then it was a guy that I got real cool with there, that actually he was my roommate, and he knew I was from Detroit, and I think he was from I want to say Chicago or something like that, but when we went out, me and him, every time we went out, me and him hung together, and he was, introducing me to people as well, and that backfired on my mother. Yeah.
Right. Well, I guess your family had a car wash.
My family had a car wash, real estate all around the city, because my uncle, he was big. He was one of the biggest had the biggest book in the city of Detroit, So may he rest in peace, that was Uncle Clarence was the man that, held down the whole family. But yes, he had the car wash. And my grandmother was worked at the car wash, and this is where all the drug dealers and all the people in the street came to get their car washed at.
Okay, so you're in Miami and you're hustling once again, and then at one point you move back to Detroit again.
Yes.
Okay, and once you get back into Detroit, you meet a guy named Bear.
No, I didn't meet Bear. Bear was part of my family because he worked at the car wash. I knew Bear. Oh man, I knew Bear for I want to say forever because he grew up around my family. Actually he was like a person that he worked for my Uncle Clarence as far as taking care of their properties. We had cottages, like up north and all that. And Bear took care of that, and he worked, for my Uncle Clarence and my Aunt Mary at that time. So Bear I didn't meet him. He was always in the picture with my family.
Got it. And the two of you actually started selling drugs together at that point.
Yes. Me, him, and Reggie.
Got it. And you were working out of like this condemned, rat-infested house.
Yes, a building, not no house, a building. We took over the building, and it was like a fortress, okay? And that was when, all you had was the peak hole, and it was built that it could not be kicked in, and that's what I started off there, okay? And I could remember working nights there. Me and Reggie was in there, okay? And you would be in there, people would, come there to get their shit and stick it through the hole, bam, boom, and there you go. And I mean, it was rats everywhere because we talking about a condemned building that we took over. Rats everywhere. And I was not used to that type of atmosphere. So, I had boss intentions on my mind from the rip. I think when I was even 2-3 years old, I wanted to be a boss, because the way that my mother said, I was, I always tried to give people orders and all that. But anyway, yes, we was in a rat infested place, and I can remember sitting on the couch, and I said, Reggie, man, look here, man, we could take this shit out in Southwest Detroit, and I could take that shit over because Southwest Detroit, then we talking about Ecorse, River Ridge, and Southwest Detroit. We talking about the 4th Street, Etzel, Liddesdale, Greyfriars, all that area didn't have nobody that was doing shit big, okay, at all. So I said, man, I could take that out there, and man, we could take all that shit over. And they was like, where's Ecorse? What is Ecorse? So they wasn't with it. So after a time went by, I was like, man, fuck this. I got a bag, and first Reggie was giving me the bag, okay, Bear's partner. And I went out there and did my own thing. So shit, after months went by, I was booming so much that Bear was like, where the fuck ED at? Well, what he doing out there? I heard, he doing this and that. So he came out there with a crew. Actually, he talked to several people and said, man, I'm finna go out there with ED and we finna wreck his ass. He can't do this shit. And he had to go through like 3-4 people that said, Nah, man, we ain't fucking with ED. No, because I was so much respected, even though I was under Bear and Reggie at the time. I was so respected with these people, and they had much love for me. It was like, man, I ain't with going out there to wreck ED, man. Okay, so he got to a person that said, fuck it, let's go. So they came out there, and we was at the time they came out there, I was in a hotel, hooking up, doing my thing, hooking up. I used this hotel, and they came to the hotel, and I got word that they was on their way. So I'm telling, and Jan, this guy named Jan was the person that I used to hook my shit up, and he was like, at first he was my person. He was like a lieutenant. I'm going ahead and say he was like a lieutenant to me at first, and I told him that they on their way, and I hear that they coming to wreck me. So let's pack this shit up, wham boom, and we did this. So they came. So, and Reggie was with them at the time, and me and Reggie was always cool and family, and we at the point we still family. So they came to the hotel. So Bear approached me and started to say, hey, fuck, what the fuck is you doing? You can't do this shit, without me. He was basically saying he owned me or whatever. So he started to, he threw a punch at me, and he looked at, his left and his right side, and, Reggie was on one side, and the dude, his is a, I don't know, his security, whatever, his wrecking crew was on the other side, and they hesitated. So it was like me and Bear at one time just fighting, and they seen that I had the advantage, and, because Bear wasn't no real healthy person. He wasn't, and I got the advantage of him, and I started beating his ass, and that's when his wrecking crew, engaged with him.
Got it. Okay. So now you're completely on your own. And what year is this about?
This is 85, 84, 85.
Okay. And how much money are you making at this time? Like a month?
Okay. See, I'm going to say this. Okay. People got to, in their mind that I started off with the 50 boys. I had crews, I had 10, 15 crews all across the city. Okay. So the 50 boys came later. And so I had crews, from the west side to, Inkster, Romulus, all that, doing shit for me, and also in E-Course. So, I was selling weight. I ain't fuck with that small shit. That's one thing about me. I always dealt with weight. Okay. Like I said, I seen M's when I was in New York at 10. I don't want to see that small time shit. So I'm not finna go and do no small time shit. So I dealt, and I looked at the bigger picture always, the boss picture. That's what was instilled into me, boss shit. And that's where I was at from that point on, boss shit.
Okay. And at that time, YBI, Young Boys Incorporated, were they a big presence in Detroit?
Oh yeah, of course. Actually, when I was with Bear, I was affiliated with YBI. Okay, because we hung out with them. Herbie Daniels, Sneed, Raymond Peoples. We hung out with these guys. Okay, so they knew me, I knew them. Okay, so that was my door. When I got too big for Reggie giving me shit, giving me a bag, I got too big for Reggie. Okay, so I had to get me another plug. So The first person I went to was Norman Sneed, which was YBI. He was a lieutenant for YBI. Okay. He the first person, you know, I was getting bricks from him. I was getting like 10 bricks from him. I started off getting 10 bricks from him. Okay. 10 bricks a week. Okay. I was doing with him. That, you know, and then and Vlad, I'm talking about I was in like 21, 22 doing this. Okay. So that's, you know, when I got that's when I started bringing YBI into the picture with them. I never was YBI, but I got my product from YBI. Those, you know, a few people in YBI.
Okay, let's talk about YBI for a second. Young Boys Incorporated, which was generally considered like the first big organized black drug dealing crew in America.
Yes, I agree with that. You know, they was doing M&Ms, man, for show. You know, Sneed was doing M&Ms. And, you know, see, that's another person, you know, that I looked up to because I was a younger person. And when I started fucking with Sneed gave me a bag. All right. 3 days later, I was back. I said, Sneed, man, I need some more. He was like, damn, Edie. You know, your cousin told me you was doing some big shit out there, but damn, I see that you're doing this, okay? Because he was, like I said, he was dating my cousin, okay? And just after that, the shit just exploded, man. He started throwing me that shit, and this, once again, this was before the 50 Boys. You know, everybody's so fixated on the 50 Boys, but I was making motherfucking money before the 50 Boys. I was well off before the 50 Boys.
Okay, let's just talk about YBI for a second. So YBI was founded in 1978 by Butch Jones,
right?
Mark Block Marshall, Raymond Baby Ray Peoples, and Dwayne Wonderful Wayne Davis. They, at their peak, were making $500,000 a day.
Yes.
A day.
Yes.
$500,000 a day.
Yes, a day.
And they would recruit really young kids.
Young
like
kids. I'm talking about
young.
young. We talking about kids, you know, 7, 8, 9 years old, you know, that they would recruit, you know, the thing back then, you know, they get caught, they can't go to jail. You know, they not, who the fuck is they gonna tell on? You know, because they ain't, you know, what they gonna do? Take them down there? They gotta be released once their parents come or whatever. You can't hold these kids, okay? They was using kids at the time. You know, that's what was happening back then with YBI. You know, but I'm not taking nothing from them boys, man, because them boys did it big, you know?
Right. I mean, when you say big, founder,
you just said it.
Yeah, Butch Jones.
Yes.
He called himself the Henry Ford of heroin. And there's quite a big crew. And the guy that you dealt with, Norman Johnson.
No, Norman Sneed.
I'm sorry. Well, his full name is.
Yeah, Norman Sneed Johnson. Right. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Norman Sneed Johnson, aka Sneaky Sneed.
There you go. Right.
Who later on was killed in 1985 during the power struggle. But this particular crew was, I mean, it was pretty crazy because by 1982 there was 41 indictments with 31 people convicted. And originally you were dealing with a guy named Herbie, right?
I dealt with, exactly, when Sneed got killed, I dealt with Herbie Daniels.
Right.
I got my weight from Herbie
got
Daniels.
Busted in that original. Yeah, Herbie got busted during that original bust.
Yes.
And Butch Jones actually got busted as well. He got 7 years as the leader. So when YBI went down, was this like a huge thing in Detroit?
Of course, yes, it was, because everybody looked up to YBI. You know, everybody, especially, I'm gonna tell you, in the area, Ecorse, Southwest Detroit, River Rouge. Them motherfuckers ain't, you know, they didn't know about they knew about YBI, but nobody knew YBI. You know, none of them knew YBI. I was affiliated with YBI. You know, I believe that's why I got that was one of I think the things that I got much respect because the people that I was affiliated with, they knew I was on some bullshit and I was down on that game shit. For one, coming from New York, and the people that I was affiliated with.
Right.
Okay, so I got respect from the rip. Okay.
Well, there was a guy in the crew named Kevin Wilson, aka Lughead, who was one of the enforcers for Butch, and he actually became the star witness and took the stand and basically brought down that whole crew during that era. Do you know who he was at all?
I knew of him. Okay, let me say this, man. Okay, I knew Butch Jones. My Bear's brother, Huggy, was more affiliated with Butch Jones. Because Huggy, I know you did your homework and you know about Huggy. Okay, Huggy Bear, he was one of the biggest heroin dealers as far out at that time as well. Okay, he had buildings as well that it was like a damn grocery store that he would have a line around the corner to buy his shit. Okay, he was affiliated with Butch Jones more so than I was, and Huggy being like my first cousin, he being Bear's brother, he went to all the family reunions, all that. We knew each other like that. So I knew Butch as far as like that. I never, being truthfully, I met him personally, through Huggy at a club, but I never did no work with Butch.
Right. It's probably a good thing because everyone around him ended up getting busted.
Hey, talk about it.
Okay. So then 1984 rolls around and there's a drought that's happening in Detroit. So you go out looking for some work and a shooting ends up happening.
Yes.
Talk about that situation.
Okay. This is when I actually almost got killed on this that drought. Okay, looking for some work, and Reggie seen, Reggie was trying to actually, come out there, and actually he did at one point. I brought him along because he seen how much money I was making. Okay, I overseed the money that they were making. Okay, so Reggie came out with me, and like you said, the fucking drought came, and I was looking for work. No, it was no work nowhere, and I had people looked upon me as they, Edie was the motherfucker to fuck with because he always had some shit, and when you called him, he was there with your bag. So I'm out looking for work, and my cousin said she had a person that she was dating this guy, and he had some work. So I said, well, damn, cuz hook me up with him. So she hooked me up with him, and we talked to the dude, we met the dude, and he said, okay, let's meet. We met on 7 Mile and Stahalin at this liquor store at first. And we was following him. And he went to he got out his car at the liquor store, and back then, it was phone booths everywhere. Those little, that you put the little quarter in, dime in, whatever. Back then, what it was, I believe it was 25 cents. And he went to the phone booth. So, and me and Reggie was in the car behind him and my cousin. And he got off the phone, and he waved to us to follow him. So we went down, Stahalin was like 2 blocks down. So we went down Stahalin, turned right, and we got like 2 blocks down, and it's a park right across the street. So it's like basically it was like a darker area, okay? So we pulls over. We thinking that we pull it over to the house. So we sat there for maybe 5 minutes, all right? So me being who I am, I'm looking. I'm sitting on the passenger side. I'm looking at my rear view mirror, and I'm just looking all around me, right? So, fuck, I see a motherfucker running up with a long motherfucking coat up, and out of his coat, he pulls up a shotgun. So I said, Reggie was driving. Pull the fuck off, man. Motherfucker behind us with a shotgun, right? So we pull off, but he's like right at the backside of the car door, and he's firing into the door, but he's firing with buckshot. Okay, so buckshot was all on the right side of me, down my hand, and if he would have got any closer, because he was coming to kill, ask questions later, and get the fucking bag.
Okay. Was that the first time you got shot?
That was the first time I got shot and got hit. I'm gonna say that.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this, Vlad, man. And you know this as well, man. The street, you got any motherfucker just can't choose that life. All right. It's gonna be times, people are just showing all the bling and the goodness of the street now. It's what about the bad side, like the shit that happens to me, the jail time? Because I'm gonna tell you now, if you in the street and you selling dope and all that, if the motherfucking alphabet motherfuckers ain't at you, ain't follow you, ain't looking at you, you ain't doing shit. They got so many motherfuckers that is so many fake motherfuckers out here that's selling drugs now that for years and years, they've been so fake that they think the shit is real. It turned into reality to them, the fakeness, okay? But because what shit motherfuckers doing now, I did that shit for breakfast. 10, 15, 20,000 wasn't nothing for me to spend in a day, okay? That shit wasn't nothing, but that shit come with consequences. Okay, and you're not showing these younger people the consequences of that shit. You showing them the popping of the bottles, the bling, and all that. But once some motherfucking alphabet motherfuckers come, they coming right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, well then, by 1985, your nephew Kilo brought over Big Meech and D Meeks. And at that point, there was no 50 Boys or whatever. And actually, they were brand new. They were very unseasoned in the drug game, right?
Okay, actually, he just brought over Meech. He was cool with Meech. Okay, Derek, you might want to, we can get into that in a moment. But first, it was just Meech that approached me. And my nephew said, man, because I would see Meech on the corner, the next street of where where my grandmother lived at, and when I came out to Southwest Detroit, where I hung out and everything, which was Bassett and Saliette. And the next street over was Ecorse. And Meech had a girlfriend on 19th Street, and he would be always on that corner of Saliette, which you can see my grandmother's house and where we hung out from that corner. And every time I would ride down the street, up and he would always acknowledge me like, what's up? And I knew he wasn't from Ecorse, River Ridge. I knew he wasn't from that area because I knew everybody from that area. So he went to Kilo and said, Kilo, man, your uncle doing, big, he doing some big shit, man. Man, just let me talk to him, man. Introduce me to him and let him just hear what I got to say. So after a while, after he kept, like hollering at me, because I respected everyone that spoke to me riding down the street, whatever. I spoke back to him. And when Kilo told me that Meech wanted the intro with me, I said, okay, bring him over. Let me see what he talking about the next day. And that's when Meech got on board with me.
Okay.
And it was
like
only Meech.
Okay.
At the time.
And Meech was like 15 years old at the time?
Meech was exactly, he was 14, 15 years old. I'm gonna say closely to more to 15 years old.
Got it. And with Meech, he brought D Meeks and his brother Southwest T.
Okay. That happened. Okay, when me and Meech had to talk, he was talking shit that I wanted to hear, and he was the shit that I was telling him, he was listening to, and he was coming back with some good shit. So I said, okay, man, look, come back tomorrow and we could do this. So this is when I always had this idea of doing these 50s, okay? These 50s was 8 balls to motherfuckers. And people didn't understand how I could do that. I could do that shit when I'm getting cartel weight, okay? I could do that shit, okay? So I broke those 50s down, and they was like 8 balls to everybody. And Meech, I put Meech down with him. The shit got so overwhelming that he said, ED, man, can I bring my boy Derek Meeks and my brother, into the loop, right? I said, man, well, you the lieutenant of the 50 boys, okay? That's up to you, but I want to meet them first, and we go from there. So I did that, met them, and then I told Meech, okay, well, they're your responsibility. Okay, go ahead, run with it, and therefore the 50 boys.
Got it. So at that point, the 50 boys officially formed.
Yes.
Okay, and they had the 50 boys chains and everything.
All that they had. Okay, man, I groomed them boys so well, because when I got to them, like we just discussed, they were 14, 15 years old. The cocaine game was brand new to them. They might, fucked with weed or something, but they didn't even know how to use a triple beam, because back then we used triple beams, okay? And they didn't know how to count money, okay? They didn't know the game, period. I instilled that game into them boys. That's, I introduced them to that life. And I introduced them to, and back then, and when I sold drugs, my platform was family and loyalty and respect. And I instilled that into them as well.
Okay. Did you have a 50 boys chain as well, or were you kind of a little older and didn't?
I was
didn't
the
really rock
boss.
that?
I didn't need no 50 boy chain.
Right. I figured that. I figured that. Okay. So, and with the 50 boys, they didn't sell anything less than 50.
That's what they did.
You can't get a 20 or a 10
from $50 8 balls. Motherfuckers coming from Ohio, all across the motherfucker to get this shit. Okay, these boys, we had everywhere them boys was at. I had them set up with them boys, because back then you had 10, 15 motherfuckers on one corner, but motherfuckers would come to that corner and say, we came for the 50 boys. Plain and simple. Okay? That's how hot my motherfucking product was. Okay? And I don't want to keep glorifying this shit, because that ain't me. I ain't that type of person, because I don't know, the shit I be saying and things that I have said in the past, I don't glorify the shit that I did. Because like I said, the streets is not for everybody. But the 50 boys, man, that shit was hot as hell, and that was just part of some shit that I done. It's, that was part of 10, 15 crews that I had. And the 50 boys, like I took them from 15 years old and taught them every aspect of the game.
Right, because at one point they were making so much money that they'd be hanging out in the corner with like mink coats and gold chains and really being ultra flashy.
Well, I'm gonna tell you about that, Vlad, because it was mandatory for us every Sunday to sit down to eat dinner. And if any, you had anything to talk about, we talked about it then. If you had any shit to bring to the table, we talked about it then. And I got this shit from Caesar, eating with his people every Sunday. Okay. I got that from him. So we did that. And then I took them over to the mall, Northland Mall. Okay. So I buy them some mink coats. This is a funny story. I buy them some mink coats. So I'm riding down the street, I don't know, maybe a couple of days later or whatever. And Meech ass, I see Meech, I see the 50 boys. They out there with their motherfucking chain, they bling on, and they meat coats running up the cars selling dope. Mm-hmm. So he see me, and he knew when I stopped and blew the horn, he knew. He said, "Edie, I know what you finna say." I said, "Yeah, man, go take that shit off, man. What the fuck, man? Okay, don't act like that shit is something you ain't used to. Okay, Meech, don't make motherfuckers think you ain't used to shit like that, for one. And don't get hot as hell up here, all right? I already got you covered up here, but don't take advantage of that shit. Go take that shit off."
Right, which will play a very interesting role later on in the BMF story, which we will get to. But with the money and so forth comes the jealousy. At one point, Southwest T gets shot in the eye. Were you guys still affiliated when that happened?
Well, you kind of skipped ahead, and you missed a whole lot.
Okay.
So what you're trying to tell, what you are saying is the beef with Layton.
Right.
Okay. Now, the 50 boys inherited that beef. That was my beef, because Layton is fucking 5 years plus older than me. So that beef was already, I had that beef before the 50 boys even started. What the fuck is a fucking 10, 15-year-old dude want to have beef with these young motherfuckers for? The beef was with me. They inherited the beef, all right? Because I had beef with Layton when I came out there, and I was doing the 2-for-1s and all that, and I just took over that city, okay? I took over that territory, okay? So that beef with Layton that was my beef. And then,
okay.
Go ahead.
And real quick, before you go on, is Layton played by the Lamar character in the BMF TV series?
Yes.
Got it.
I put his ass on the map.
I see how they did that. Okay. Got it. So that was your beef. I put him on the map. Because he ain't no motherfucking boogeyman. What the fuck is a boogeyman? We seen each other every motherfucking day. Ain't no, that shit was so fucking far off base, that was funny. Yeah. Okay, so they inherit that beef from you, and at one point, Southwest T gets shot in the face.
Yes.
Okay. When you heard about that happening, what'd you think?
Well, again, this is what I'm saying. A part of the game, the street. All this shit, you got to expect all this shit. You got to look over your back at all times. This comes with the territory. Okay? I was respected, to the point that a motherfucker didn't try to step to me that way. But, I had one major beef. And that was with Layton. Okay? And Layton, like I said, he was, Layton was 5 years plus older than me at the time. And this was before the 50 boys even started. But that was the only major beef I had to. Motherfuckers they respected me too much to step to me as far as trying to rob me, trying to, fuck with us, as far as 50 boys or any of my crews that I had out there. Okay. I was much respected. And, motherfucker came to me for knowledge and how to prosper more, if anything. Okay, that's how they respected me. But when Terry got shot, shit, motherfucker. I mean, your life, other people's life, you can't stop. I mean, damn. Okay, what I told them, grooming them as bosses, that shit's coming. So, don't think all this shit, glory shit, and us doing all this smooth shit is glory shit. I was their protector, and I protected them from, the people that respected me. I grew up with damn near 60% of the police force out there. So I knew them. They respected me as well. But they I ain't gonna say they wouldn't do their job, but I'm gonna tell you this. I protected and was I want to say I took care of the 50 boys and everything and everyone around me that we got to do what the fuck we got to do.
What ultimately happened to Layton?
What you mean? What happened to him? He's still living.
He's still alive.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the way the Lamar character gets killed on the show.
I thought you was the type of dude that do your homework. Have you seen the interview that he fucking did when the motherfucker
No, I did not.
sounded all senile and the motherfucker didn't even know my name, and the motherfucker asked, this is what he said. He said the notorious and you can hear motherfuckers in the background tell him Edric. He said, yeah, Edric. And then the motherfucker say, well, who is the 50 boys? He said, dude's name, Pop, which was not, Pop was my man's, but he wasn't a 50 boy. Okay, so he talking shit that I don't understand, because I'm not notorious. I never said I was Notorious Big. Nothing like that. Nobody ever, looked at me as saying I was notorious. I was a smooth motherfucking operator. Okay? I organized my shit as it was so mature at my age, when I'm wearing suits, when I'm 18, 19, 20. Every time you see me, I was in a sport coat or suit. My shit was organized. Okay, I wasn't with that street shit. I let them boys shine. I was in the background. I was the motherfucking ghost of the fucking 80s and 90s. Motherfuckers motherfuckers knew ED's name, but they was like, ED, because I stood in the background. I let them boys shine.
Right, as you should. This is how you last a lot longer than everyone else, as opposed to all the flashiness. Well, by 1987, another big round of indictments came for YBI, which pretty much shut down that whole crew. And then Johnny Curry got sent to prison as well, with White Boy Rick cooperating with the feds against him. So now you have all these major Detroit players getting sent away for long, long bids. But then by 1988, your mother-in-law's house got shot up.
Mm-hmm.
What was the situation around that?
What was the what?
What was the situation around that?
That was Layton.
Oh, okay. Same beef.
Same beef. That was Layton. Layton,
okay.
My wife called me, and she was driving one of my cars that was known, and it started like 4 blocks down. And she called me and she said, babe, somebody behind me, and they just behind me, and then they just bumped into the car and started pushing the car. I said, where the fuck you at? Okay, so I'm sending people to, that direction where she at. So she leaves. I said, leave where you at. Go home. Go to your mama's house. So when she got to her mama's house, I guess as soon as she got out the car, my wife had to actually run into the fucking house because Layton was shooting at the house. My wife got in the house. He shot at the house. Bam, and he left. Okay, that's how that's the situation. How that went down. Okay, that was another part of my wife was like fed up with the that type of life. She feared for my daughter's life. Everything started coming in. It's just it started coming in. You have to look at what your values are in life, okay? Because like I said, I didn't come from a poor family. I had other options, okay? So that was, to answer your question, that was the one fucking beef, Layton, aka the fucking boogeyman. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay. And then at one point,
That's crazy.
well, at one point, your nephew Kilo got murdered.
Well, that was actually that was I want to say that was before that.
Before that, okay.
I want to say that was before that, Vlad. So, yes, he was found on the west side in his truck, and whoever did it, he had to know who it was, and because they had to be in the back seat of the car.
Right. And you said that after that murder happened, that started making you think about, okay, I need to probably get out of this game.
No, well, actually, I started thinking that when my wife almost, got killed and all that shit. I'm gonna say this: Layton was not a fucking problem to me because every day it was a shoe shop that I went to every day faithfully every day to get my shoes shined every fucking morning when I came out there. I got my shoes shined faithfully. So if a motherfucker wanted to get me, I could have got. So, that wasn't, no problem with me, but I wouldn't worry about shit like that. But when you start targeting my family members, then we got a different picture, okay? And I would see Layton every day. It wasn't like we was running. I was running from each other. That's how people they portray him as we was running from this dude, and it was nothing like that. I would see this motherfucker and laugh at him because he was like he had a mental problem from day one. Okay, he had a mental problem and I knew that, so I used to laugh at the motherfucker, okay? So that was started me to think, and my mother and my wife, just all my family members, Edric, you really ain't got to do this shit. But that's how I started thinking like that. It wasn't my the killing of my nephew, AK my son, Kilo. It wasn't that.
Okay. Well, by 1989, Big Meech and Southwest T, they officially form BMF. Now, had they already left you by that point, or were you still affiliated with them?
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, see, it's a lot of things that we going too much ahead of ourselves. How this happened was, okay, Derek Meech, and Terry came to me. They called me. They said, Edie, man, can we meet? We need to talk. I said, no problem. Meet me at my mother-in-law's house, which was a hub out there that we used to, frequent, okay? So they met me there, and we sat down. And Meech was the first one to talk. And he said, Edie, man, we want to start doing weight, man. We want to start, doing shit that could, not under, as far as under you, man. We done got to the point that we think we got to the point that we think that we are where we want to be. You groomed us to be bosses, and which is true. From the day one, I groomed them as bosses like I did all. I didn't have no workers. Everybody that was on my fucking line were bosses. Now, who they had fucking with them was who they had fucking with them. But I consider everybody that was under me were bosses. And that's how I groomed people to be bosses that were on my line. So I said, I groomed you guys from day one since you was 15. I taught you everything in the game to be a boss. So this day was coming. Just like the day, I'd be a hypocrite if I said, man, no, I don't want you to, no, because that's the same thing I did when I left Bear and Reggie. That's what I did. I became my boss because I'm not in the long haul to be nobody's worker. And that's what I instill into them boys, to be a fucking boss. And you can see everything that I taught them boys, okay, the family values, that boss shit, taking motherfucking they crews to the mall, that shit came from the 50 boys. They took that shit to BMF, okay? All that shit that they took, to BMF, that shit started with the 50 boys. Okay? So I groomed them boys well. And I'm not gonna lie, they were Meech and Terry, two of the best motherfucking students I ever had.
Well, at one point, Big Meech gets shot. Were you guys still affiliated during this time?
Well, Big Meech got shot a couple times.
Well, when he got shot in Detroit, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, he got shot a couple times in Detroit. Meech got shot. Okay, the first time Meech got shot, they were at this restaurant, Chinese restaurant called Stanley's on 8 Mile in Woodward. I got a call from them, this them being the fucking 50 boys. They in a booth. I knew the scenario right when they called and told me what was going on. Okay, they in a booth, and in the next booth, they had some motherfucking street niggas, and they didn't, for some reason, I don't understand, they should have knew better than this, but they was just being the fucking 50 boys, being flamboyant, showing out, doing their thing, let motherfuckers know who they were. But the niggas that was in the next booth was listening to them, and they seen all the bling they had on and all that. And when they left the restaurant, they were all outside the restaurant and tried to do the boys, okay? So they tried to rob them, get their change, whatever. This is when Meech got shot in the neck. That's the mark that he has on his neck. That's when he got shot the first time.
Okay, and the second time I think was over a girl.
Over a girl. Okay, you talking about the Atlanta thing when he got shot in the ass?
No. That's a whole different situation. I remember when I interviewed Sosa, he talked about a situation where Meech was messing with a girl and things went crazy.
You know what?
He got shot.
In all due respect, I don't want to, talk about shit that Salsa was saying, because, all that shit, Salsa said that he created the 50 boys. So I'm not finna go there with Salsa shit, because all that shit he talked about, man,
Okay. Well, in 1990, Butch Jones from Young Boys Incorporated gets out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a drug gang called the Dog Pound.
The Dog Pound.
Are you familiar with this crew?
No.
Okay. Well, apparently he started to take over that drug crew.
What drug crew?
The Dog Pound.
Butch started to take over the Dog Pound. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm following
and get back. And so he basically got back in the game. And then by 1999, he gets convicted of murder, narcotics trafficking, and racketeering, and gets life in prison, which I believe he's still at right now.
All right.
When Butch gets out, did you know he was out? Any sort of affiliation or anything else like that? Or
okay, once again, I wasn't affiliated, and like into what Butch Jones was doing, because Butch Jones was in another, he was out of my, I didn't fuck with Butch Jones. So I wasn't worried about what Butch Jones did. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Gotcha.
I can't talk about Butch Jones and what he did because I wasn't affiliated with Butch Jones like that.
Fair enough. Well, then by 1998, you decided to officially leave the drug game.
Yes. Around that,
Was there,
okay, I'm gonna say around 98, yes.
Around that time. Was there like a final incident or moment where you just said, I'm done with this?
Like, once again, my family. I'm a family man, okay? One reason, this shit, this 50 Boyz entertainment, all that is starting right now. I'm doing this shit for the securities for my family, okay? Because I'm at the age right now, I'm not about to be no fucking hip-hop granddaddy, okay? So this is for my family, okay? And I'm like at the point that I'm doing all the shit that I'm doing for them. And when I got out the game, then it was because my family was giving me pressure, okay? Because, I'm gonna tell you and all you motherfuckers that's out here watching that shit, because once you lose your family and because your family is your true mother. You get loyalty first from your family, okay? Then, you look outside. So once, you listen, you got to listen to what your family is saying, okay? And, you got to listen to, you can't think about just yourself, okay? You got to think about your family in this situation as well, okay? Because I'm going to tell you this, God blessed me. Yeah, he blessed me without doing no hard motherfucking time. Cause when you behind the bars, you miss birthdays, you miss everything, you miss holidays, you miss everything out on the outside. You miss all that shit, and you can't bring that shit back. That shit is gone. When you doing a fucking 10, 15, 20 bit. Once again, to God's grace, I didn't do that, okay? I got out in time because, the fucking feds, I know them motherfucking alphabet motherfuckers was looking at me, okay? I seen motherfuckers down the street. Well, I seen this shit. But before that shit exploded and got to it, and to the point, I listened to what I said, man, look, because once again, I wasn't from no welfare poor family, and I'm not trying to bad dog people that's, on their knuckles, okay? Because, that's every day. But I had other options, okay? And one of my options, and I said, but look, fuck this. I done wore the finest tailor-made suits. I've been across the world. I done ate at the finest restaurants, okay? It's somebody else's turn. Fuck that. I moved on. But and it got to the point as the years went by and by, the game was changing. Okay? Fucking when I was out there doing that shit, people respected you. Okay? It was enough money for everybody. Especially in my people around me, everybody ate. And it was enough motherfucking money for the next motherfucker to eat as well. Okay, so we didn't have this shit that's going on today. It's just the loyalty, is in the game, in the street, is not there like it was when I was in the streets. Okay, so that it was so many factors to that I sat down and I talked about, and I decided just to get out the game. I gradually got myself out the game. Me Meech, Terry, Derek, we always talk. They called me for advice, all that. But far as anything else, when I gave them the blessing, I'm gonna say the blessing to go ahead and do what you do. Yeah, go ahead and boss up and do your own things. You done mature to that level to do that. Go ahead and do that. Okay, it wasn't no friction. It wasn't like, man, look, if you gonna do this, we got a problem. Fuck nah. I'll be the man. It didn't go down like that. I gave them all the respect and courtesy, whatever, to do what they had to do, and if they needed me, hit me up. And we always remain friends. We never beef. We have much love to this day. So that, answering your question, that's was factors that, I dealt with, because you got to look at, man, it was so many times, man, that I got caught up, man. The police took my money. The police took me out, took me downtown, and motherfuckers who was selling dope back then, and they know what I'm talking about. If they were some ballers, they know what I'm talking about. When you go downtown to narcotics, to the Room of Doom. It's right on the fucking door. The Room of Doom. That's where narcotics headquarters was. And when you went in that room, you looking for an ass whooping for fucking 24, 48 hours before you even go to a cell. Okay? I went through all that shit. Okay? I went through motherfuckers just stopping me in they knew every car that I had, stopping me, not even arresting me when I was so fucking drunk. I got home, I would say, damn, baby, how much money you take out of my pocket? My wife would say, I didn't take your money. The police took my money. Okay? So why would the fuck they let a motherfucker so intoxicated drive their car, let them go? Yeah, because the motherfuckers took my money. So, I mean, it was so many factors. I just moved on, Vlad. I just moved on, bro.
Well, you decided to move on, but the BMF boys went the whole opposite direction.
Exactly, because they once they left 50 Boys, that was their thing. I wasn't affiliated with 50 Boys. So what they did, and then right after they left to go to 50 Boys, I didn't stop right then. It was a while after, I didn't stop right then. It was a minute after that. But that was their thing. And I can't take shit from what they did, because they did it big, and they did it. You can see ED in every fucking step they did.
Right, because they went and got a Mexican cartel drug connect. And
cartels wasn't new. The cartels, I didn't go to the cartel. The cartel came to me.
At the most, at your height, how many kilos were you getting from the cartel at a time?
When I first started, okay, this is when, this was actually after Sneed and Herbie. I met someone. This person, they still living at this time. And they introduced me. Okay, they said, man, look, man, you struggling for this, man. You don't got to do this, man. That drought shit won't even exist, man. Someone wants to meet you. So that that's when the cartel came into my life, and the M&Ms really started coming in. Okay, so I was getting maybe back then. I'm gonna say maybe I'm gonna say I wasn't no big time motherfucker. I was getting maybe 200-300 bricks a month, man. Maybe anywhere from 50 to 100 a week. Okay, because I had crews. I didn't deal with packs and all this. I dealt with weight. So all that coincided with what I was getting, and yeah. a week. Just say I was getting anywhere from 75, 100 keys a week.
Okay, so you talk about monthly. I mean, I don't know how much they were going for back then, but if you're talking about 17,000 a key, 300 keys is like 5.1 million a month that you were spending. So you were basically spending millions of dollars and then getting it back and re-upping and so forth. Okay. Well, after, Meech and
let me say
T.
this. Let me say this so we won't forget that. And we could come back to it or whatever. Once again, money wasn't new to me. So I was spending that shit, like I said, it wasn't shit for me to spend 20 motherfucking thou, 15 thou before breakfast. Okay? So that wasn't new. I mean, tailor-made suits. My wife stayed in furs. I was, like we went all over the country. So money wasn't shit to me. I looked at it as a fucking another, it wasn't nothing to me. Just to let me put that out there.
Got it. Well, BMF went on their own. They got their Cartel Connect. And over time, they became some of the biggest drug dealers in the country. And I remember in 2005, when I was DJing, I got a call and saying, hey, these millionaires from Atlanta want to fly you out and party with you, give you a couple thousand and, show you some of the music they're working on. And that's when I got to meet BMF myself. And I remember being flown to Atlanta and seeing the billboards, the world is BMF.
Yes.
And I remember they pulled up in like 10 Ferraris and Lamborghinis and took us to a party. I drank Cristal for the first time. They were giving out Cristal bottles like they were flyers.
Right.
There was ice sculptures and everything else like that. This was around the time that Meech had just gotten into that shooting situation when Wolf got killed. So he was on house arrest. And I remember going, being invited to his house, meeting his mother, eating with his family and everything else like that. But I remember at this time, and I was really broke during this time, I remember looking around and going like, this is insane what I'm seeing right now, because obviously this is not music money. Like even me as a total outsider seeing what it is.
Shit.
Yeah, everyone knew it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just going to steer clear of this. These are cool dudes. I like partying with them, but I'm just going to step away because I know what's going to happen in the next year or two. And then by 2007, that's when the busts started happening.
Right.
When you were seeing the BMF billboards and the DVDs where Meech is talking about his crew and the magazine covers and everything, obviously they're not selling any records, right? like Blue Da Vinci didn't have an album out or whatever else. Jeezy was just somewhat affiliated, but he ended up going to Def Jam and just kind of breaking ties with them. So when you're seeing the same, you yelled at them for wearing fur coats on the corner. Now they got billboards and magazine covers and everything. How do you feel? And are you still talking to him at this time?
Okay. Let me say this. Meech, that was one thing, Meech, you couldn't take that flamboyant shit out of Meech, okay? Meech told me this, okay? This was Meech's words, okay? Meech said, ED, if them motherfuckers don't know what I do, fuck it. He said it was not worth doing. I'd rather motherfuckers know what I'm doing than not know what I'm doing. So he always was, when he was a 50 boy, he wanted to shine like that, okay? You couldn't take that from him because he wanted everyone to know what the fuck what he was about and what he did. So what he did, he always took it over the top. Cause that's Meech. That's what Meech did. Now, when I seen the billboards and all that, what you asked me, what did I think about it? The first thing I said, that's Meech. That's Meech. I said, that motherfucker, you can't tell him shit stink. But that's what he do. And I can't take nothing from him. He did that shit big. And you know what I'm saying? He created one of the biggest organizations in the world. And goddamn it, look where he came from.
Yeah. And I remember, when going back through the story and talking to people, and going through the documents, like Southwest T really had a problem with how flashy Meech was.
Yes.
And that created a
Yes.
friction because not like Southwest T was a humble dude, but he wasn't that flashy, and he felt that Meech's flashiness was going to get them busted.
Okay. Let me say this. If you don't mind, I'm gonna go back to when with the 50 Boys, okay? 50 Boys, Derek, Meeks, and Meech were already street, okay? I didn't have to work with them much as I had to work with Terry, because Terry was in school at the time. He was doing that education thing, okay? And once he became a 50 boy, and when that motherfucking bling and that money started popping in, that's when he left school. So I had to instill that street game into him more so than Derek Meeks and Meech. So yeah, Terry was, and as they got older and mature into the game, Terry was more of fucking with them hoes and a gambler. Okay? He wasn't into, he always, as a young man, he was always more like on a quiet set, okay? So that's why I said I had to put that street into him, okay? Because he was more quiet, far as Derek and Meech, they was buck wild. So it didn't take me much to, put the shit into them. But Terry, he was more he was going to school, and then he stopped going to school. So that you could see that as it progressed into BMF.
Got it. Well, by 2007, like I said, the feds came through, did a bust all over the place. Dozens of people got arrested. Ultimately, Terry and Meech get arrested, and before they go to trial, they both plead guilty to 30 years in prison. Mm-hmm. When you heard the news that these two little homies that you had, that you brought up and raised and molded
little
and
homies,
so forth.
my there was more family, like sons, nephews to me, and I know where you're going with this. How did I feel about that?
Yeah.
Them getting, all that time?
Yeah.
I felt, it fucked me up that they got so much time. We talking about 30 years, all that, because they really didn't connect them with no murders or nothing like. They went to jail for selling drugs, okay? And you had motherfuckers that before them that got, that did. I'm not gonna say they was on a level as big as Meech and Terry, but they didn't get that much time. And I think the prosecutors, the shit that Meech did, as far as the billboards and all that shit, that kind of reflected on the time that was served, that they were sentenced. Okay, I felt for them, but once again, to you young motherfuckers out there in the game, it's shit that's wants to get in the game as well. Shit come with this, okay? You gonna do some time. You gonna get killed. And you know what I'm saying? It's not either. It's. I think I'm in the 10% club. Okay, I got in that shit and got out, but the game is not somewhere you want to be. Don't think ever in life, whenever you hear me, like with this interview, anything that I do, did in the past and I'm going to do in the future. I'm not glorifying what I did, okay? But I'm just trying to get my shit what's due to me. Motherfuckers, 50 boy this, 50 boy that, and they is not acknowledging the motherfucker that founded, created, and groomed them boys to be 50 boys, which was E.D. Boyd. Okay? That's, all I'm talking about. I'm not talking, I'm not glorifying the life of the street.
They both plead guilty. They get 30 years. But then in 2020, Southwest T gets out early because of his health condition and because of COVID and so forth. When he gets out, do you guys talk?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. We actually, I haven't talked to him in about a month, but yeah, we talked. I was over his house I believe the first week he got out. We chopped it up on his porch for 3-4 hours. Oh, yeah. Of course. He gonna acknowledge, yeah, we had a long talk, and I think on that, the reason, being like, you're talking about he got out, okay? So he was blessed on that as far as, okay, that COVID thing, he was in there doing some shit, I don't know, the facts to what really went on, but apparently he did his homework and he used that motherfucking system that was going on, that COVID shit, to get his ass out of that hole, and he did. Okay, and him and Meech did different kind of time. Yeah. My opinion. Once again, I don't know what happened, what in, but when you doing time, it's based on how you do your time as well. They look at that. Okay. So Terry was blessed to get out, and that's all I can say about that, and I wish, Meech was out, that I'm looking for the day for him to be out, but I think it's coming up very soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. Well, and then last year, 2021, the BMF TV series comes out, and your character gets portrayed as someone named Pat, who's played by legendary actor Wood Harris. When you watched the series and saw the way your character is portrayed, do you like it, hate it, or indifferent?
Okay, I'm not going to take nothing from 50 Cent because everything he do is great. But that was Meech's story, okay? And I knew it was going to be something, I didn't think it was going to go way off a base that it did when Meech told, because I said this was back when they were just talking about the series, and it was going to be a movie. This when it first started off, it was going to be a movie, and I said I talked to, and this when me and Meech was corresponding, via text, off and on, and I asked him. I said, so what's going on with this BMF thing that's coming out? He said, ED, I'm gonna tell you, this is going to be my story, and I'm gonna leave it like that. You got to remember, I raised these boys. I taught them this. I taught them the game. Game recognized game, and that's his story. He gonna tell it, and the writers gonna tell it the way they wanted to tell it to protect Meech as the the puppet master of the show. Okay, I'm gonna put it like that. Maybe I didn't use the right word. I don't know. So be it. But that's how it is. And as far as Noble Woods, man, you can't. Man, the show is hot. Okay, but him being Pat, like the shit he done And the shit that in the show that they portraying Pat is like the shit that they were saying that like he said one. I can remember one thing he said. He's God. I never talked like that. Okay, it's just some shit that the things that Pat was doing. ED would never do. Okay, I owned the TCI limousine company back then. Okay, and that's where my office was back then. And like I told you in the beginning of this interview, I didn't mix business. I was an organized person. I didn't have hoes in my motherfucking office and motherfuckers in my getting high and all that. That wasn't me. Okay, so the shit is portrayed for people to be on the edge of their seat for it to get the motherfucking ratings for it to go on and on. So the story is not reality, and too many people, and the majority, 90% of the people are young motherfuckers that think that shit really happened. That shit did not happen. That is a show on TV. That is entertainment. That is, the show is hot, yeah, for entertainment reasons. But far as reality, that shit did not happen.
Well, you ultimately left the drug game. And for 20 years, you've been working a regular job. You went into construction and so forth. During those 20 years, did you miss it? Did you want to dabble back in and make a few extra dollars?
Oh, that's funny. Miss it? I mean, I'll be stupid and motherfucker be like, motherfucker, stop. If I say I didn't miss the money. Yeah, I missed the money, of course, but you don't know what I had to go through, okay, to get that money and to do the shit I did. I don't miss that at all, okay? So, I know hundreds of people out there, that wants to do this life or whatever. Okay, do that life, okay? And I know hundreds of people in BMF that went to jail. I'm friends with multiple BMF members right now. So I don't. When I say motherfucker couldn't give me 100 bricks right now and say, Edie, get back in the game. We want you. Man, fuck you. You take them bricks somebody and give them to somebody else. Hey, this shit ain't the same, man. This shit ain't the same.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've interviewed so many people, like Freeway Ricky Ross, who was out of the game, had already established a new business, and they just wanted to do just one more deal. Just one more deal. And then I'm out.
One more deal would have got you motherfucking 30.
Right. And he got life in prison for that one more deal. Which ultimately he was able to get out because, he went through the law books and so forth, but it's always that one more deal.
Right.
That gets you.
You hunger for that shit. Because, the streets, the street calls you. You don't call the streets, it brings you into that life. I mean, you if you come from a poor structure, which Meech and Terry did, and they seen all that money, the first motherfucking week that they was working for me, they seen so much money, it just calls you, man. When you young and you see motherfuckers with these flashy cars, the bling and all that, man, that's who I want to be and all that. That's what you do. But like I said, man, I wouldn't do it for life right now, man. I wouldn't do it for life. And, and I think, just like the 50 Boys, it wasn't just Terry and Meech. The 50 Boys was Terry, Meech, and Derek D. Meeks. Okay?
Right.
It was 350 boys. It was never 250 boys. It was always those three. And I'm talking about the original, the real, for real, 50 boys. Derek Meeks, Terry, and Meech Flannery.
My final question. Right now, you're a grandfather,
Oh yeah, I'm a proud grandfather.
a proud grandfather. When you look back on the life that you used to live, and at the time, you're in the middle of it, the adrenaline's going, the money's flowing in, the flights and the hotels and the clothes, and you're all caught up in it. But now, decades later, when you look back on the drugs that you pushed through your neighborhood, the damage that crack did on Detroit, the drugs that were sold to your friends, their parents, their kids, and the overall destruction that caused. Do you feel guilty over what you did, or was it, well, if I didn't sell it, someone else would have?
I would never say if I sold it, somebody else will. I had my conscience, yeah, I felt, damn. I'm not gonna say I destroyed people's lives because, like you said, if they didn't get it from me, they would have got it from someone else. Okay, so I wasn't a part of destroying somebody's lives. I don't think. The next person might think different. But yeah, I didn't want, and I do not want the same thing for my grandkids, my siblings, no, my family. Like I said, I don't want to see, my people in jail, not, missing all the fruitfulness that comes out of life that is not behind the walls. Okay. All my family, I have an educated family, I just, my nephew, Dre, he just graduated with 2 degrees from Michigan State. Okay. I got another nephew, D-Lo, he's at Michigan State now. Okay. So, I want the same thing for my grandkids as well. Okay. So, both my daughters are entrepreneurs and work jobs. Okay. So I that street life, I don't want to, go to generation like it did me, from my grandfather to my father to my uncle to me. Okay. I don't want that for my family. Okay. Simple as that.
Okay. But when you look at what crack did to Detroit, as well as other cities, if you were to go back in time, would you have just stayed away from all of it?
Go back in time and what? See, go back in time and say what? Damn, crack fucked up everybody. But look, he gonna do it. He gonna sell it. And fuck it. Vlad, you gotta realize I was young back then.
Yeah,
I didn't have the mentality that I have as an older person and as an OG. Okay, I dealt with shit as it came to me, because I was in the streets. Okay, the shit came down from generation to generation. Okay, I don't know. It was just in my blood. My family did that shit. Okay, but it's other options. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Not tell you, but tell people out there. It's other options. We don't have to, you young motherfuckers. Because I'm gonna tell you, you motherfuckers. Now I'm saying you motherfuckers doing this shit now. And you got motherfuckers, because I look at shit right now, Vlad. I see these motherfuckers doing shit, and they call themselves out there in the street doing this and that, and they've been out there, say 5-10 years, but they supposed to be the biggest ballers out, and the motherfucker ain't even been harassed by 5-0. Okay, what does that tell you? Okay, one thing. it tells you that what you doing ain't shit. Okay? What you doing is you're telling on a motherfucker that you can get a 10-year spread and the police ain't fucked with you. Okay? And another thing, you so motherfucking fake. You know, out here, you're popping bottles in these motherfucking strip clubs and all this shit. You popping 5 and 6 bottles every time you go to strip clubs, but your sister, your brother, your uncle, whatever, on welfare. They can't eat. What the fuck? Make that make sense, because it ain't making dollars, man.
Yeah, very good point. Well, Edie Boyd, we've interviewed a lot of people over the years, but your story is very different. Usually a story like yours usually ends with a 20 or 30-year sentence.
I'm blessed.
You're just
Thank
getting
you,
out
Lord.
and getting adjusted to the world and learning how to use an iPhone and, learning how to use toilets that flush themselves and the so forth. But you actually took the intelligent route. And I think a lot of it comes with the way you were raised and how education played a role in that. People like to downgrade and say, I have a college degree. I would not be where I am without a college degree. I'll let you know that right now. And a lot of people like to go after the quick money and say that college is a scam and school's a waste of time. But you're an example of someone who went to school, who took school seriously and became smart enough to realize that, hey, I'm going down a dead-end road and I'm going to get out of this and not end up the way my proteges like Big Meech and Southwest T ended up with 30 years in prison. Mm-hmm. And I think that really says a lot, and it goes a lot in terms of your intelligence and your wisdom and the way you look at the world. We've all messed up. We've all hustled. We've all dabbled in illegal shit, me included. But I think the ones who get older, who get into their 50s and 60s and 70s and really have made the right decisions along the way to actually live a full life the way you explained, where they're not living part of their life in a cage with a bunch of men. They're actually getting to experience life. And it may not be as flashy as they were before. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes, I always hear these stories like, for every year I balled out, I did 5 years in prison. And it's never worth it, the way when you actually look at it like that.
Okay.
So salute, and my hat's off to you for actually realizing that this was going to go very much downhill and actually going legit and spending 20 years working a real job while everyone else probably thought that you were, crazy for doing that. And ultimately, in 2022, you see where they ended up and you see where you ended up.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Edie Boyd, founder of the 50 Boys. Appreciate your time. Until next time.
Much love.
Peace.